You know what I thought of? I go to the movies every week, so I have to tell you guys what I think. I am back to do another movie review. The movie that I just recently went to go see. If you love action, then this is a movie that you need to see. It is so good, you guys. I'm telling you. To do another movie review. Now, after watching this review, if you do like it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And after watching this, don't be scared to go ahead and subscribe, because you'll be one of my first subscribers when I only had a little bit, because one day my channel will get big. Just watch me and you're going to be like, I have faith in her even from the beginning. So go ahead and subscribe. The movie I saw over the weekend was Cheaper by the Dozen, the new version of it, the reboot of it. And it's quite something. So let me just start off by saying that it's nothing like the one in 2003 or the one in 2005 or even the one that came out in 1950. This one is in a category of its own. I do like that because a reboot, you kind of change things around. You did have the interracial couple, and I did like that. You know how I feel about that. So I love that. Black love, the swirl love. And you have Gabrielle Union playing Zoey Baker, and then you have, I think his name is Paul. I had to shoot his last name up there, but he plays Paul Baker, which is the husband. And together they have this group of children together. Now they have 3 from their ex. It's kind of like Brady Bunch. It's 3 from their ex and then another 3 from their ex. And then together they had 2 sets of twins. So right there, that's 10. And then I believe you have a dog, that's 11. And then he takes in his sister's son that has had a lot of juvenile detention problems, but also she has went in rehab. His sister, that's Paul's sister, she goes into rehab, so they go ahead and take the nephew in, and that's how you get a dozen. Wait a minute, is that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Okay, so forget the dog, go ahead and put them in. See how confusing this can be with all these kids? But anyway, that's how you get 12. Take the dog out, you put the parents in, that's 11, and then the nephew, there you go, that's 12. So with this movie, I think it should have been a TV series, you know, straight from the start. It should not have been a movie, whether it was streamed or not. This was definitely not something that should be a movie. When you look at anything that has to do with Disney, you can tell that it's a Disney movie. I've been watching Disney movies since the early 90s, you know, with my oldest daughter all the way to recently now with my 9-year-old son. So I can tell a Disney movie from a mile away. You have a house that's spanking brand new, that everything in it is brand new. It doesn't look lived in at all. You have their clothing that doesn't look like it's ever been worn except the time that they're wearing it. You know, not a blemish or nothing on it. It's straight from JCPenney's or Sears, you know. So you can kind of tell when it's a Disney made for TV movie or a Disney series, because it's, I don't want to say cheesy, but it just has that feel to it. And that's exactly what this was. I mean, even when it's nighttime, it looks like this. It looks like daytime because they maybe were not filming at night, or they have all the studio lights, or it just, you were able to tell that this was a Disney movie. But the reason why I gave it a 5, like I said, I don't know if I put it up, but I gave it a 5 is because I did not like the way they did this movie. Now, I am not going to be too biased because I know times change. I don't care that you change, you know, I don't expect that Cheaper by the Dozen 3 with Steve Martin and Bonnie Hunt. I just didn't like the fact of how you did the movie. You have too many little sub-stories that are inside the movie that make it just weird. I mean, you make it weird because you don't develop any of those like subplots. And that's what kind of leaves you hanging. It really leaves you hanging. And I just felt that the on-screen chemistry between Zoey, Gabrielle Union, we're just going to call her Zoey, her name that was in the movie, and between Paul. I don't like the on-screen chemistry that they had because they didn't have any. They didn't have any on-screen chemistry. I mean, I felt like they kind of just showed up every day and been like, okay, let me read this part. Hey, honey. Hey, love. It just was mismatched. It was just miscast. They should not have been cast together because it seems very forced whenever they're trying to hug or give that little mommy kiss. It's almost like this when you got to kiss your grandma. It just was not natural. There was nothing natural about that, natural about them being together. It really shows in the film. We can see that. I'm not going to say I'm always need some water, right? Even though I drank some right before. But they always say, well, you can't really know what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, but it seems like they don't like each other. I mean, it just was not funny. The only time it was funny is when maybe the triplets, the kids that they had together, when they get together, because they did come together. I didn't know if I mentioned that. They did come together and they had 2 sets of twins. But, that's the only really time you laugh because the jokes are just, they're trying to be funny, but they're just not funny. I liked it if you could have just focused on the little kids and you only had 2 sets of twins and everybody else was teenagers or preteens. And I think that you should have had more little kids because I think that's where the comedy was going to come from, but they didn't have that. So it made it kind of like, okay. And then you have the fact, like I said, the exes, but then you have the fact of she's in Calabasas, and then when a security approaches her because a moving truck is coming in, and he's like, I want to see your ID, which makes actually no sense, but, that does happen. She quickly bows. She turns into like Deliver Us from Eva. She is not playing that. 1 second. I'm sorry, that is my son's buzz because when it pulls up, you have to be out there. I don't even know what would happen. I don't even ask what would happen if I'm not out there on time. But anyway, I thought I heard it. It was like, okay, but this is the only time I can try to squeeze in and do it before he gets home. But anyway, it's like I felt like she immediately turned into like Deliver Us from Eva. So then when Paul tries to talk to her, instead of her being like, okay, yeah, you're right, because obviously we've been an interracial couple for some time now, she's just like, you have no idea what it's like to be a black woman. I don't like being around here where I don't see people that I don't know and faces that I don't know. When I feel like since they've been together that she would have been accustomed to that at some point. So racism is never an easy thing to talk about, and it's never something that makes you feel comfortable. It's no matter what, you're always going to be a little uncomfortable, but I feel like this. Racism is always going to be there. I'm not going to change colors no matter how much makeup I wear. So I just address it and then I leave it alone because you know what? I have to still live my life. And I felt like she tried to touch on it and make it, okay, well, it's race and I don't want to be in Calabasas. But I know for a fact that she was probably discriminated on prior to that incident in Calabasas. It just maybe she felt it was more amplified, being around these people with all this money, these real housewives type of money. So you have them there. Then when they're at the pool, I mean, I would have thought the same thing. You have children of all different color there. You're looking like the Rainbow Coalition, or you have a group home. Of course, you're going to have people ask you questions. And then next thing you know, she's like, I don't like it here and this and that because you know how they're treating me. Where I felt like maybe it could have stayed lighthearted because now you hit me with some real serious topics, which is fine, but sometimes we go to the movie to escape these topics. And that's how I personally feel. So I felt like the racism, the way you put it in there could have been a little more lighthearted instead of having it just so, adamant, like, okay, well, this, that, and the third, okay, well, that's fine. So we get past that. Then we go into the fact that you got the nephew. He's stealing money about the register. One of the sons sees it and he still doesn't say anything, which I thought, okay, you're not going to tell none of your siblings, but the nephew has some issues, and you just had so many different parts of this movie, and you're trying to, bring them together, but you're not developing any part of it. And that's why I don't think that it was as believable. I don't think it was as funny. I think that it should have been named something else because Cheaper by the Dozen, we are going to go in there with preconceived notions from the first one. It's going to at least run by our mind, even though it is a reboot. Do I think it is a good reboot? I do not. I do not think it's a good reboot. I am being nice, giving it a 5 because I actually think it's about a 4. I would not sit through it again. I did not like the way it was done, the script. And when you don't have on-screen chemistry between the mother and the father, that basically it kind of just kills the movie. You shot it completely down. So that is how I feel about that movie. Now, one thing I did like, because it seems like I just hated it, I did like the fact that you do have all the families together. And even though I said earlier I don't like the exes were so involved in there, I think that that is something that you should have. You should have your ex cool with your husband, your ex-wife cool with your new wife. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's how life should be, because kids are happier when they see parents that are getting along. I just felt like you could have left them out of the story a lot more than always bringing them in there with the whole big story. They're sitting there trying to make decisions too. They have nothing to do with the decisions that's made up in that house with the money that they're paying. So that's my review on it. Until then, I'll see you next time.